I look back at our records. We started in 2014 honoring people for their contributions to the arts, to philanthropy, and leadership. It was just our way of recognizing those people who really stand out within the community and give back. It's really great to be able to honor them and let them shine for the night.
I'm originally from Yazoo County. We lived out in a little town called Benton, Mississippi. After my dad died, we moved into Yazoo City. Got married and moved to Greenwood all within the same week. Worked at Greenwood LaFleur Hospital actually ever since then, and I work part-time there now. Pastor New Zion Missionary Baptist Church, and I've been involved in our community, involved in our state convention, involved in all kinds of things. The Bible says we are the salt of the earth, and that's what Jesus said to his disciples. And I believe if you want your city, your town, your community to be better, to be prosperous, you got to be involved in it. And that's my basic philosophy of things, and I try to do what I can from my vantage point. You can never know why the present is the way it is until you have some view and knowledge of the past. And so sometimes I think the emphasis too much is to eradicate, destroy the past, instead of, okay, let's use this as a stepping stone. Let's use this as a launching pad. Instead of wiping it out, why not use this, some of it, to step and move forward on? How do we put Greenwood LaFleur County history in the context of a broader history? I think a museum not only has to record the past, but it has to be relevant to the present. And I think we are trying to do that here. When I say we, I consider myself a part of it. There needs to be a more concerted effort to put a younger generation so they can see, even if it was a school trip, or even if it was a church trip, I think, is to let them see. Their lack of engagement, many times, that's an adult problem. I firmly believe the older I get, that old adage, everything rises and falls with leadership. I see that more and more. I would say to the board, to the committee, and who all that work to make this museum what it is, I would say to them, thank you. Be prepared to meet some of the challenges that you face, but don't let the vision die. Thank you for your service. Keep up the good work.
Art is about making connections with other people and the world around you. Everyone has an artist inside of them. Part of them that can see the world beautifully, do things with their hands, or maybe make music or dance, or all the different things, all the different ways to express themselves, and Art Place has taught me that. Our specialty is engaging people of all ages, particularly children, but really people of all ages, with creative acts, something we're doing and making to interpret things. And museums are really good at, of course, offering the interpretation, that particular one about our place, the Delta. The beautiful collection of Native American pottery that is so stunning to me, just to walk in the door and be humbled by the people who lived here before us and their sophistication.
The Power of Children was an exhibit about 3 kids who rose above and beyond their circumstances. I thought, what an absolutely perfect opportunity for us here in Greenwood to pull the community together and do a big community quilt and have it hang at the museum and do it at the time while the exhibit runs. I just thought it was such a perfect time. after we did many weeks, it was a few months actually, sitting together, all the kids on the floor with quilt hoops, hand quilting this giant, heavy denim quilt. And they were just talking to each other and saying like, you know, my grandma does this. And it was a real quilting bee, and it was beautiful.
In 2024, we will be partnering with the museum on a number of programs in support of the exhibits that they will have. We're going to bring back adult art classes starting in October to increase the music aspect of our program. And then we're also going to be doing some Lego camp programming. What we're looking to do is increase access to the arts. I'm so grateful that we are being honored by the museum and all the hard work that Yolandi and her team of artists have done through the years.
As an artist, it might not look like it, but I work really hard. And to have that recognized, and to people, for someone to say, hey, kudos, good job, you know, that feels good. It feels like, okay, someone is seeing what you're doing, and it gives me hope that Art Place as an organization will continue to flourish.
The museum has meant so much to me personally over the years, and so has Art Place. So both of their missions are very similar to me, and so this is very personal that the museum would recognize the importance of art and art making and Art Place in our community, and I'll just look forward to what that means for the future.
It was about in 1970 that many things began to happen in my life. Native American lure that came to me through Dennis Bouchard. He is the one that started me on the race to hunt. Otis Allen, who was an educator, he was the one that went and got the government foundation to start Cottonlandia, this organization that was very loose-knit of people who just had interest in things that wanted to show the history of the Delta. Simpson was the first manager, I would say, that sat behind the desk. I don't think we charged admission. There was Bill Beckwith was in town at that time. Bill Honey, Butch Mallet, Granville Martin. L.B. Jones was a huge influence in my life, and Carrie Avent. I was a dancer, of course, and she was, and I would go out there and she would show me her old costumes. There was one more person who was very instrumental, is Peggy and Frank McCormick. We had the Choctaw Indian women to come, which was my favorite part, and watch them weave baskets for us. Out in Carrollton, we found the mastodon, and I took my children and we dug it out. And it was just amazing, but I didn't realize at the time how really significant all of this was. It was just therapeutic to walk out in a field. You could feel the wind and hear the same birds that those Native Americans felt. It was just a spiritual experience.
While I make it a practice of never turning down undeserved awards, I have to say that it's just misplaced on me. It's Aubrey, who was one of the early instigators and initiators of Cottonlandia. I always thought it was an interesting and important endeavor, but I didn't spend a tenth of the time.
I was just enjoying it, and I appreciate the recognition, and it was a wonderful time in my life, and my children's life too.
I'm really happy to announce our next exhibit is going to be Van Gogh for All. It's a real interactive and immersive exhibit. Features the life of Van Gogh, his painting, his mental struggles, his inspiration. This exhibit is going to be unlike anything this museum has ever had. We want everybody to come out and see it because it's going to be a big treat.